what spurred the idea for this series? Because it's definitely different than what we've seen in survival competition shows before.
Yeah, so for this one, it was the social experiment part of it, because we haven't seen a survival show where you've got family members in charge of the decisions that are being made around their survivalist out in the field. So that was the premise behind it, was to take people that had got no or very little outdoor and survival experience, and put them out in the wild with their family members, making the decisions on whether they need to be extracted, what supply drops they get or don't get, and the strategy behind all of that.
Yeah, and I've only gotten a glimpse of what the contestants have experienced in the wilderness over there in British Columbia, but what kind of trials and tasks did they have to go through just trying to survive?
Yeah, so there was, I mean, just the very trial of just surviving out there was huge, and then there were like tasks and challenges that were thrown at them along the way as well. Each one designed to test them either physically or mentally or both, and just the very nature. So, at the very start, it's like I grab these survivalists, take them away from their family members, and then drop them out into the terrain, and just leave them. And suddenly they're out there, there's on their own, alone, having to survive, and sort of them realizing this is actually a very real situation.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
It seemed equally tasking for the families as well, who kind of experienced more of a mental toll trying to help them. Can you shed some light on what it was like for them?
Yeah, I mean, this was where it was really fascinating to watch that, because we were watching it in real time, because we had all these robotic cameras around that we could pick up headsets and like zone in on them at any point and hear the conversations, and it was absolutely fascinating watching that side of it, of because you've not just got one person who's making decisions over this for their survivalist, you've got two, and it's that dynamic and how each one of them sees their survivalist and the lens that they're viewing the survivalist through, and how resilient they think that that person is, or at what point they need to press that button. But
Yeah.
then also between the families, there's also the strategy, because maybe they need to work together to help their survivalist, but at the end of the day, there's an ultimate goal of winning that money at the end.
Yeah, definitely. And we see the family dynamics really tested too as they kind of toe the line of whether to extract or not. Without giving too much away, what was the most extreme test the contestant or their families went through that you saw in the show?
There was challenges where we really pushed the survivalists, so the families could watch in and really see them suffering and really see them struggling.
Mhm.
They also had watchers that were sending their biometric data back, so the families could look in and see heart rate, body temperature, sort of those stats. And that was, when you've got somebody who's potentially getting, very cold, very wet, and being pushed physically hard, and that person is saying, I want to come out, I've had enough. Will their family member decide that enough is enough, or do they know that actually that person's more resilient than they think they are? And that was where like this sort of the challenges like really sort of came into their own.
Yeah, was there ever a moment that you or the show thought they had to step in and be like, okay, maybe this person has had enough, whether their family member thinks so or not?
Yeah, there were definitely a couple of moments like that, because we have genuinely put them into this scenario,
Mhm.
and that's I suppose been my role for over 20 years now. It's like keeping people safe in these environments, and watching them and looking out for the signs, and yeah, that is really important for us to watch that. And there was a couple of times where we thought that we might have to step in. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
that's scary.
It is, yeah. Which you realise that, it's very easy, isn't it, when you're watching these shows to think, from the sort of comfort of your sofa and and think, oh, I could easily do that. But actually that person's really out there. And we were filming in the changing of seasons. So, we had all four seasons we
Oh, wow.
experienced. while we were filming, and this is somebody that's not eating properly, they're
Yeah.
dehydrated, they're not sleeping, they're cold, and
Mhm.
it's like their body is like you're watching them, their body sort of breaking down in front.
Yeah, you really are. What made you want to get into the survival and wilderness space and kind of help people get through these really tough moments?
Yeah, so I guess I kind of fell into it in my late teens.
Mhm.
I became I started training as a mountain guide and started taking people off to on big expeditions. Did an apprenticeship in bushcraft and survival for 3 years, and started going out to sort of these remote wilderness environments, jungles and deserts, and spending time with indigenous cultures, and then taking their skills and putting their skills into practice in these environments. And I just became fascinated with the psychology of it, of why some people survive and can walk out of situations and other people don't. They kind of sit down and just give up. And through that, and sort of whether it's leading expeditions or whether it's working with survivalists or cast and crew in these remote environments, it doesn't matter where you are. It's like you just realize that we are far stronger than we can imagine,
Yeah.
and it's like the as long as the mind stays in charge,
Mhm.
it's like it's incredible like what the body do.
That's very true. Besides, obviously, the huge cash prize that the contestants and their families stand to win, why should anyone consider going on this given all of the trauma they're going to put their minds and bodies through?
Yeah, because I think it's an amazing experience. I mean, it puts
Mhm.
life into perspective, like, and the amount of your resilience and confidence that it gives you to be able to go out into these environments and know that even if you just survived out there for one night, it's like you'd survived there for one night. That's awesome. In this
Yeah.
environment you've never been, there's bears, rain, there's snow, and you've spent the night there by yourself, and that's epic. And then it's like if you've then been out there for weeks on end, like it just makes everything else in life just seem
Yeah,
pretty
that's very
easy.
true. I don't know if I could do it, but props to everyone that has and that will do in the future. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
season two,
I'll
come join
think
us.
about it.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.